May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Jesus saw two brothers, Simon and Andrew, casting a net into the sea. If you want to see that for yourself after the service or on your way to communion, just look up to your left and you'll see Andrew, first window on the north, holding his net. And Jesus said, "Follow me and I will make you fish for people." Immediately, the text says, immediately they left their nets and followed him. And then Jesus saw two other brothers, James and John, and he called them. And immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. The part about following, at least in theory, often we have no problem with. It's the immediately that can give us the most heartburn. Frederick Buechner was a respected Christian teacher, preacher, and theologian, someone who got called by God in so many ways. He passed away last year. He knew how to say things in a way that would spark up your insides. In his book, Wishful Thinking, he wrote about the concept of vocation. The place God calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. The place God calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. In other words, what is it that even just thinking about it brings you deep gladness? And where does that joy connect with the actual needs of this world? You have been called to labor at the place where those two things intersect. Many have laid in their beds at night or looked up at the stars and prayed for direction. For anyone who has ever wondered what they were meant to do with their lives, here is the key, not in a direct answer, but something even better. It's a durable rubric for all of life. Where is the thing that makes me glad? And what is the need that I am meant to address with it? The word vocation comes from the Latin vocare. That word means to call, to summon, to invite. That word refers to the kind of work that God calls us to do, whether paid or unpaid. That idea goes all the way back to Genesis, very beginning of the Bible, when the Lord creates human beings and gives them specific jobs. Have dominion over nature. That's a call. That's a purpose. Fill the earth and subdue it. That's a job description. Be fruitful and multiply. Till the garden and keep it. These are the fundamentals of the jobs given to us in Genesis chapters 1 and 2. And just as importantly, humanity appears to have been created simply for the enjoyment of the Creator. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. Everyone was given a purpose, and this heritage continues in everyone to this day. We all have a purpose and a calling. Imagine the many things God needs from humanity and what God needs us to provide for one another and this world. Health, perseverance, spirit, beauty, education, critical thought, conversation, shelter, food, clothing, truth-speaking, justice, empowerment, thoughtfulness, kindness, child-rearing, elder-caring, prayer, advocacy, protection, community, forbearance, reverence, stewardship, balance, thoroughness, discernment, wisdom, governance, grace. And that list is surely only the beginning. The point is, your deep gladness is somewhere on God's list of needs. And it doesn't matter if you think you're too old or too young, if you think you're unskilled or overqualified, if you're enjoying your retirement or if you're hitting your prime. There is a need in this world, and God knows you're the one to help meet it right now with what you possess. Simon and Andrew and James and John were utterly unprepared, but when called, they stepped forth. They may have swallowed hard or given each other looks of incredulity. They may have looked behind themselves for just half a second to remember what it was that they were leaving behind. But they acted more or less immediately and answered the call. And for some in this room, it may even be time to begin to explore the question of the call to holy orders. I would not be doing my job if I didn't ask the question. We cannot be the church of the future if we do not regularly explore this area. And so I would be shocked if in this entire congregation there wasn't one single person who was wrestling with God over a call to ordination, who perhaps has been wrestling with God for some time about this. Or maybe has had these ideas just show up recently. And what if you're someone who's been feeling this way? Ordination. What do I even do with that? Hide it away? Repress it for yet another season of my life? Deny it until it goes away? Look, I'm able to say this clearly because I was someone who did that. I hid under the metaphorical bed for as long as I could. And then came the time when finally I just had to fess up. Okay, God, I admit it. I'm feeling called to the priesthood. What am I supposed to do now? It was not in a moment or on a day that I can specifically remember. It was just a series of experiences that led me to the place where I could finally articulate the one thing that I thought if I said it out loud, the world would say, "You're crazy," and dismiss me. But I said it anyway. I think I'm called to be a priest. I said it to Mother Diana, a priest from our church, as we took a walk while we were on a vestry retreat. I said, I think I'm called to be a priest. She said, I know. There was snow on the path, and it crunched under our feet. No one had to say much of anything else. The next day we gathered back at church, and the gospel reading was on the calling of John and Andrew and Simon and James. Follow me and you'll fish for people. Mother Diana stood in the pulpit. She said, "Welcome to the Lord's Fish Company." She said it with simplicity and with a little bit of urgency. Years later, I told her how much I appreciated it. She said, "I know." So now I'm passing it on to you. Not just about holy orders, but about callings in general, about the call of God on our lives and on your life in specific. I'm passing it on to you, and now I'm telling you, welcome to the Lord's Fish Company. Whatever it is, whatever it is, whatever the call of God is on your life, wherever it's leading you, whatever you're wrestling with, whatever you're trying to figure out, whatever deep hunger you think you could help feed with your deep gladness, whatever it is, this is a ripe land and a fruitful time for your discernment. May it be so.